students. And I wonder if you could just tell us something about why it might be a good idea, if nothing else, for current students, even before they enter the workplace, to enter LinkedIn, and more generally to think about how could they potentially network with or meet up with people in the areas that they might want to be working in.
So I definitely have to admit I'm a huge proponent of LinkedIn. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool. I recognize, to be honest with you, if you talk to students, you may have heard the same. I think it sort of perhaps has the reputation while we're in school of being sort of the uncool, the uncool cousin of social, media and whatnot. So it's not Insta, it's not Twitter, it's not perhaps quite as sexy, but the fascinating thing, and I think you've touched upon it when you talk about alumni, is when you do transition from the academic world into whatever field you're going to go to next, there seems to be a switching of priorities, and for most people, regardless of whether it's a not-for-profit, a government agency, a private organization, LinkedIn does become the way that quote unquote professionals connect. So I do absolutely think that looking at LinkedIn, if people haven't already done so, creating a profile, it has a tremendous amount of powerful search tools or filtering tools, even with a free account. So you don't have to get any kind of premium account to really be able to, follow areas of interest, identify specific people who are working in, the fields you might be interested in the kinds of jobs that you might be interested in doing in those fields, in the geographical locations that you very much might want to target when you think about after you're done studying. So it is a really powerful tool. It's relatively easy to identify, as you just mentioned, Andrew, individuals who have walked the path that you've walked before you, and I think connecting with those people, even I'm a fan of using any social media platform. I do think LinkedIn is the most powerful as a starting point to the whole relationship building or networking process. As you're likely aware, one of the key statistics that always gets quoted is that 75 to 80% of all employment opportunities or jobs never get formally posted, or may be posted but are filled through what we call informal means, so through word of mouth or through connections. So to not think about and consider that side of things doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, but it does seem to scientifically cut you off from 4/5 of all the jobs and opportunities that are out there. And given when I talk to students, there's a lot of concern sometimes, or angst about how am I going to successfully transition, because it is super competitive. So I think one of the first things I would say is, well, let's not close the door on 75 to 80% of all the possible opportunities by only looking at job postings on Indeed or on Western's job board or whatever it may be. So I think definitely creating a profile on LinkedIn, doing some searching. I think most departments or groups that I know are starting to build, and I think you and I in our chat before, I think you mentioned that anthropology may have a LinkedIn group page or site. Those are all also free to join, and that automatically connects you to a network of people who are likely working in areas that just naturally you might find interesting as well. But even if they're not, opens you up to a whole network of people who truly understand kind of the things you're thinking, the things you're feeling, having been through the program themselves, can give you lots of great advice and sort of pay it forward by sharing their experience with you. And I think all the research would suggest that's what's key. If you can build a big enough network of people in your area of interest, then honestly, it's statistically it shows it's just a matter of time until you're finding out about tangible opportunities to potentially work in that organization or in that field or in that geographical location. So I would definitely promote, if people haven't already, looking at LinkedIn. Again, not to turn this over to a sort of careers and experience promotional campaign, but we do offer workshops on LinkedIn and how to create the most effective profile, how to use LinkedIn most effectively. I would be glad. I know you're gonna edit this to only be a few minutes long, but I could talk for a long time about LinkedIn and how you can utilize it and its value. So I definitely encourage people to look at that a little bit more closely. And definitely tap into us if you're interested. Career.uwo.ca gets you connected to all the career education resources, including some of the stuff about LinkedIn.